Good morning everyone and welcome to the class. We are doing the chapter Challenges of Nation Building, and under this chapter we have discussed the first challenge of nation building which the country was facing at the time of independence was the problem of partition or the challenge of partition. And now we have started our second challenge in this regard, that is integration of the princely estates. As we have seen, we have discussed in the previous class that the Independence Act of 1947 has actually given this power to the princely estates that they can decide on their own what do they want to do. If they wanted to merge with India, they were free to merge with India, or they can merge with Pakistan also, or they have a third option as well. The third option was that they can remain independent. So we find that in India we have 565 princely estates. So it was not an easy task to integrate all these princely estates. बहुत प्रॉब्लम्स आए, बहुत सारे ऐसे प्रिंसली स्टेट्स थे जो कि इंडिपेंडेंस को अपने कायम रखना चाहते थे. एंड एज वी हैव सीन, फर्स्ट जो चैलेंज आया दैट वाज फ्रॉम द रूलर ऑफ ट्रैवनकोर, है ना. द रूलर ऑफ ट्रैवनकोर अनाउंस्ड that the state had decided on independence. The state wants to be independent. And then the Nizam of Hyderabad, then Manipur, Junagadh, all these from all these princely estates we faced problem in the integration. Then rulers of like Nawab of Bhopal, they were also not very willing to join the Constituent Assembly. And this response of the rulers of princely state was very difficult, was very crucial. And now it became a challenge for the Indian government to integrate all the princely estates. And what was important, it was not only the integration of princely estates. What we see that the democracy was also going to be undermined if the princely states decided to be an independent country, because in a country which is ruled by a king will not be a democratic country. And our fight against the British rule was not only against the British rule, but we fought for establishment of democracy also, है ना. So if these princely states decided to be an independent country, then it was going to be against the principle of democracy as well, है ना. The people of these princely states will not be able to experience democratic government. So this was a strange situation, because जो इंडिपेंडेंस इंडिया को मिली थी उसमें यूनिटी तो बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट थी. सेल्फ डिटर्मिनेशन हमें मिलना चाहिए, आज़ादी मिलनी चाहिए, यूनिटी होनी चाहिए, लेकिन साथ साथ डेमोक्रेसी वाज आल्सो वन ऑफ द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट एलिमेंट ऑफ द इंडियन फ्रीडम स्ट्रगल. एंड नाउ we are finding that the situation was such that if the princely states were decided that they will go for independence, then what will happen, that the democracy will be undermined. The people of those princely states will not be able to experience democracy. So it was important to integrate all these princely states into India. It was important not only for the unity of the country, but it was also important for the democracy as well, है ना. So this was the purpose in front of the government, to integrate the princely states. Now in order to fulfill this purpose, what was the approach of the government? That is, we must understand what was the approach of the government. So at that time, when India got independence, we have interim government. What does it mean? Interim government, जिसको हम कहेंगे काम चलाओ, है ना? Because elections cannot be held just after the end of the British rule. The constitution was in the process of making, है ना? So constitution बनने का process चल रहा था, तो government का formation was not possible constitutionally before the making of the constitution. So एक काम चलाओ सरकार, एक interim government was interim government was formed. At the head of this interim government was Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru as prime minister, है ना? इसमें डेप्यूटी प्राइम मिनिस्टर और होम मिनिस्टर जो थे वो सरदार पटेल थे. ओके, सो द प्राइम मिनिस्टर वाज नेहरू एंड डेप्यूटी पीएम प्लस होम मिनिस्टर. ये कौन थे? ये सरदार पटेल थे, है ना? So now we see that it was a very critical period for the country, because the question of unity and integration of the country was involved. And in this crucial period, in this crucial time, we see that Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel played a very historic role. Actually, he was directly in negotiation with the rulers of princely states, and there were many rulers who were firmly against their merger with the Union of India. But he negotiated with them, and he negotiated with them in a very diplomatic manner. And he, because of his efforts, his diplomacy, his negotiation skills, we find that he was able to bring most of them into the Indian Union. And at present it may seem to us an easy task, but actually it was a very complicated task. And we can say the task needed a high level of diplomacy, high level of negotiation skill, high level of persuasion skill. Then only it was possible, it became possible that all the princely states were integrated into India. You can just imagine the number. As we have seen, there were 565 princely states in the whole country, है ना? But if we look at the condition like Odisha, which is one of the states at present in India, in today's Odisha there were 26 small states, princely states. एक उड़ीसा जो आज के समय में एक स्टेट है, उसके अंदर 26 प्रिंसली स्टेट्स थे. इसी तरह से अगर सौराष्ट्र रीजन को देखें जो कि गुजरात का था, वहाँ 14 बिग स्टेट्स थे और 119 स्मॉल स्टेट्स थे, और इसके अलावा और भी छोटे छोटे स्टेट्स थे. तो इतने सारे जो प्रिंसली स्टेट्स मौजूद थे, उन सबके साथ निगोशिएशन करना और उनको कन्विंस कराना कि वो इंडियन यूनियन में ही शामिल हो, इट वॉज a very skillful job. It was a historic job which was done by Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, and that is the reason he is known as the Iron Man of India, है ना? उनको इंडिया का आयरन मैन कहा जाता है. And at present we are celebrating his birthday as National Unity Day, है ना? This is also very important to understand that in present till आज के समय में भी हम उनके कंट्रीब्यूशन को भूले नहीं हैं. एंड वन मोर थिंग, सरदार पटेल की एक आयरन की स्टैचू भी बनी है गुजरात में, है ना, जो स्टैचू ऑफ यूनिटी के नाम से जानी जा रही है. तो दैट ऑल्सो डिनोट्स हिज इम्पॉर्टेंट वर्क, हिज क्रूशियल जॉब विच वॉज डन बाय हिम टू इंटीग्रेट द princely states with Indian Union. Okay, so now we see what was the approach of the government. The approach of the government was actually guided by three main considerations. There were three main considerations, and what were these three considerations? The first, we can say that the government approach was that the people of most of the princely states clearly wanted to become part of Indian Union. You have to assume this, then only you can take part in the negotiation of princely states. गवर्नमेंट का ये अप्रोच है, गवर्नमेंट ये मान के चल रही है कि जो मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल है, पीपल जो है ज़्यादातर प्रिंसली स्टेट्स के जो लोग हैं वो इंडियन यूनियन के ही पार्ट बनना चाहते हैं, है ना. सो द फर्स्ट इज people of most of the princely state wanted to become part of India. ओके, आपको ये अज्यूम करके ही बात करनी है कि लोगों की इच्छा क्या है कि दे वांट टू बी अ पार्ट ऑफ इंडिया. And now the second approach of the government was that government was very much flexible in giving autonomy to some reason. It's not anything like a very rigid attitude of the government. Government was flexible in its attitude. It can negotiate on this matter of autonomy. If any princely states wants to be a part of India but with autonomy, then that can also be considered. So that is a flexible approach of the government in giving autonomy to some reason. So the second approach was flexibility. Flexible approach in giving autonomy. In giving so this was the second approach of the government. And the third approach was that as we all know that partition was held and there was contest over demarcation of territory. So it was the approach of the government that the integration and consolidation of the territorial boundaries of the nation was of supreme importance, है ना. जो नेशन का जो इस तरह से उसको कंसोलिडेट करना है कि जो टेरिटोरियल बाउंड्रीज़ हैं वो उसकी इंटैक्ट रहे, उसमें किसी भी तरह का कोई कमी नहीं आनी चाहिए. Okay, so that was also one of the most important approach of the government. So the third is integration and consolidation of the integration and consolidation of the territorial boundary. Okay, and now what we find, these are the approach of the government, and now we see that before 15th August 1947 there was peaceful negotiation among the Indian government and the princely states, and you see that almost all states whose territory was contiguous to the new boundaries of India, they all were integrated into India. Got it? 15 अगस्त 1947 तक जो भी स्टेट्स थे जिनका की बाउंड्री, जिन प्रिंसली स्टेट्स की जो बाउंड्री थी वो पूरी इंडिया की जो नई बाउंड्री क्रिएट हुई थी आफ्टर गेटिंग इंडिपेंडेंस, उस बाउंड्री के साथ जो कंटिन्यूस थी, उसकी बाउंड्री के साथ साथ जो रन करती थी, वो सारे के सारे इंडियन यूनियन में इंटीग्रेट हो चुके थे, है ना. सपोज जो हमारा बाउंड्री डिमार्केट हुआ है उस बाउंड्री के साथ जो प्रिंसली स्टेट्स की बाउंड्री कॉमन है वो नहीं हमारे में इंटीग्रेट करेगी, तो फिर हमारी पूरी जो बाउंड्री है वो गड़बड़ हो जाएगी. बट ऐसा नहीं हुआ, है ना. जो प्रिंसली स्टेट्स जो हमारे कंट्री की बाउंड्री के साथ जिस प्रिंसली स्टेट की बाउंड्री कंटिन्यूस थी वो हमारे में पहले ही आ चुके थे, है ना. और ज़्यादातर जो स्टेट्स थे, प्रिंसली स्टेट्स के रूलर थे, उन्होंने इंस्ट्रूमेंट ऑफ एक्सेशन को साइन कर चुका था. ठीक है. सो नाउ most of them have signed this instrument of annexation. So you must understand what do we mean by instrument of annexation. This is also important because the question comes in the boards. Instrument of annexation क्या है? What do you mean by instrument of annexation? 1 mark question होता है. So what is instrument of annexation? Instrument of annexation is a document which was signed by the rulers of the princely state if they agreed to become a part of the Union of India, है ना. अगर वो यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया की पार्ट होने को अग्री कर लेते हैं तो इट कैन नॉट बी assured only by oral, है ना. orally it cannot be done. So if you are agreeing to be a part of India, then you will have to sign this document which was called instrument of annexation. Okay, so most of the princely states have signed this instrument of annexation even before this 15th August 1947, but some of the states were there from where problems were created, like Junagadh, Hyderabad, Kashmir and Manipur. These are the 4 important princely states from where troubles came, from where it proved very difficult to integrate them with the Union of India. So these are the 4 princely states. This is also an important question. Junagadh, Hyderabad, then 2 more is there. Hyderabad, Junagadh, Manipur and Kashmir. इन 4 प्रिंसली स्टेट्स के अलावा जो बाकी के प्रिंसली स्टेट्स से जहाँ से भी प्रॉब्लम आई, दैट वाज नॉट अ बिग प्रॉब्लम. बिग प्रॉब्लम यहीं से आई. और इसमें भी अगर हम देखें तो we will be discussing only 3 under this chapter, है ना. We will discuss about Junagadh भी बहुत शॉर्ट में ही हमें पढ़ना है. Hyderabad and Manipur are important. Kashmir is very important, but you have a separate chapter for this Kashmir, because even today we are not able to solve the problem of this Kashmir. The Kashmir issue is still a burning issue in India. So we have a separate chapter on this Kashmir, and that is regional aspirations. So we will discuss about Kashmir in that chapter, regional aspiration. At present we will be discussing mainly these three: Junagadh, Hyderabad and Mani. Okay, so in Junagadh what we find that you can see in the map as well. In the map you can see the Junagadh is surrounded from three sides by the Indian territory, and there is Arabian Sea. So the territory which is surrounded by the Indian territory from the three sides, now this princely state wanted to be independent, है ना. Then later it decided to be a part of Pakistan, but the desire was only of the king. For that purpose, in order to solve the issue, a plebiscite was done there. Plebiscite is to take the opinion of the people, है ना, because the king wanted to be a part of Pakistan, but it was surrounded by Indian territory from three sides, and the fourth side was from Arabian Sea. So it was really difficult practically to become a part of Pakistan. And it was only the desire of the king. The people were not in support of merging with Pakistan. So what was done, that a plebiscite was conducted, and in this plebiscite we see that people confirmed their desire to join India. People wanted to join India, but still the king was causing trouble, and some military ऑपरेशन वॉज ऑल्सो टू बी डन देयर. जूनागढ़ की नाकेबंदी कर दी गई, सप्लाईज़ को रोक दिया गया, और तब जाकर के जूनागढ़ के जो राजा थे, रूलर थे, देन ही साइन दिस इंस्ट्रूमेंट ऑफ एक्सेशन. फिर जूनागढ़ का प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो गया. नाउ वी कम टू द प्रॉब्लम ऑफ हैदराबाद. हैदराबाद में जो है वो काफ़ी प्रॉब्लम्स आई. हैदराबाद जो थी वो लार्जेस्ट प्रिंसली स्टेट थी. इफ़ यू कैन सी द मैप, यू कैन सी जो आज का हैदराबाद है और जो उस समय के हैदराबाद की हम बात कर रहे हैं, तो वो हैदराबाद काफ़ी बड़ा था, है ना. इस हैदराबाद के अंदर सिर्फ आज का आंध्र प्रदेश नहीं था, बल्कि इसमें हम देख रहे हैं कि इसमें पार्ट्स ऑफ महाराष्ट्र भी जुड़े हुए थे, कुछ महाराष्ट्र का कुछ हिस्सा, है ना, आंध्र प्रदेश, कर्नाटक, इन सब के कुछ हिस्से मिला करके हैदराबाद का प्रिंसली स्टेट था. और हैदराबाद का जो रूलर था, उनको क्या कहा जाता था, ही वॉज कॉल्ड निजाम. हैदराबाद, ठीक है. आज का जो हैदराबाद है और उस समय का हैदराबाद में बहुत हमें डिफरेंस नज़र आता है. इसमें पार्ट्स ऑफ महाराष्ट्र, कर्नाटका एंड आंध्र प्रदेश. Okay, so and the ruler was known as Nizam. And this Nizam was one of the world's richest men. पूरी दुनिया के जो richest लोगों में से इनका नाम आता है. And this Nizam, he wanted an independent status for Hyderabad. He did not wanted to be with India or Pakistan, but he wanted to be an independent country. And then he entered into a standstill agreement with India in November 1947. Okay, because of there was negotiation with Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Then he agreed to enter into this standstill agreement. Okay. This agreement was done for 1 year only, and it was done in the year 1947 November. ठीक है, 1947 के नवंबर में इस स्टैंड स्टिल अग्रीमेंट पे साइन किया गया 1 साल के लिए, और इसका मतलब यही था कि the status is not the status of independence was not given to the Hyderabad, as well as it was not merged with the country India. स्टैंड स्टिल है, मतलब जो जैसे था वैसा ही है ना. एंड वी सी दैट नेगोशिएशंस चल रहे थे, बातचीत चल रही थी निज़ाम और सरदार वल्लभ भाई पटेल के बीच में, और उसी बीच में ये स्टैंड स्टिल अग्रीमेंट 1 साल के लिए कर लिया गया कि अभी हमने कुछ भी डिसीज़न नहीं लिया है. ओके, एंड इसी बीच में क्या होता है कि जो हैदराबाद स्टेट है वहाँ पे एक मूवमेंट स्टार्ट हो जाता है अगेंस्ट द रूल ऑफ निज़ाम, है ना. निज़ाम के रूल के अगेंस्ट लोगों का मूवमेंट स्टार्ट हो जाता है, बिकॉज निज़ाम इज़ जस्ट अ मोनार्क who is supposed to exercise its power in an arbitrary manner, in absolute manner. So there will always be lack of democracy, as I told you earlier also. So the rule of Nizam was not a good rule. People were dissatisfied, especially we see the peasants in the Telangana region. They rose up against the oppressive rule of Nizam. But when they rose up against the oppressive rule of Nizam, what happened that they were suppressed, they were oppressed. The force was used against the peasants. So who were the people who rose against this Nizam? Is peasant, the peasant of Telangana. ओके, पेजेंट्स ऑफ तेलंगाना जो हैं वो उनके अगेंस्ट खड़े होते हैं, उनको काफ़ी वायलेंस यूज़ किया जाता है उनके अगेंस्ट. एंड पेजेंट्स के साथ साथ जो वुमेन, दे ऑल्सो रेज देयर वॉइस अगेंस्ट द ऑप्रेसिव रूल ऑफ दिस Nizam. They also joined the movement in large number, and now we see that Hyderabad town was the nerve center of this movement. It was the center of the whole movement. And not only women and peasants, but we see the communist and Hyderabad Congress were also supporting the movement. Not only supporting, but actually they were in the forefront of the movement. They were leading the movement, the communist and the Hyderabad Congress. Okay. Communist and हैदराबाद कांग्रेस. ओके, ये दोनों जो हैं वो फोर फ्रंट में थे, और जब लोगों ने अपराइजिंग किया तो दिस इज़ द साइकिल, है ना. राजा का रूल ख़राब था, ऑप्रेसिव था, उसके अगेंस्ट लोगों ने अपराइजिंग किया. उसको पॉलिटिकल पार्टी से भी सपोर्ट मिल रहा है, बट लोगों के अपराइजिंग को फिर से सप्रेस करने का कोशिश किया गया बाय द यूज़ ऑफ फोर्स, है ना. और तब निज़ाम ने अपनी एक पैरामिलिट्री फोर्स को छोड़ दिया. दिस पैरामिलिट्री फोर्स इज़ नोन एज रज़ाकर्स. ओके, द पैरामिलिट्री फोर्स विच इज़ नोन एज रज़ाकर्स. Who were Razakars? What was the paramilitary force of Nizam. So we will continue our discussion in the next class.